What is up, everybody? It is Riley's Redzone here, back with another 2020 NFL free agency grades. Make sure you subscribe to the channel to go view the other videos, as well as just view them and like this video if you enjoy these, and I should continue to do them. So make sure you subscribe and go watch the other two if you haven't already. So today we're going to be covering the Baltimore Ravens. So looking at their additions, they had an amazing trade here, acquiring Calais Campbell for a 5th round pick, and then they gave him a 2-year extension. I didn't look up the exact contract details of the 2-year extension, but the trade is an absolute steal. It makes any person question why no other team would offer the 5th round pick. So that's a beautifully well orchestrated trade for 5th round pick to get a Pro Bowl level player for Calais Campbell. And then a situation happened here. So the Ravens were able to sign Michael Brockers to about a 1-week contract. Basically, I don't know what happened. They signed him to a 3-year, $30 million, and then sort of backed out on it, I guess, and then he re-signed with the Rams. So I have it under here that the Ravens did acquire Michael Brockers for about 1 week. But that led to them letting go Michael Pierce and trading away Chris Wormley, which sort of was an L for them. But to me, they also got another great signing, which is Derek Wolfe for only $3 million. Wolfe has been a pretty productive pass rusher in Denver, and to get him for only $3 million is a steal. I thought many more teams would have been interested in him. So, although they lost out on Michael Brockers, they get Derek Wolfe at defensive end, and he should be very protective to them. So this team did not really add many players, but the two they added, 2.5 I guess, were really good, and I think they're going to be very successful, and they're obviously upgrading their defensive line in Baltimore. Looking at their losses, they have, as I said earlier, some significant ones with Michael Pierce. He, of course, went to the Minnesota Vikings for 3 years, $27 million. That's also a lot of money, but I guess they were willing to move on from him. And Chris Wormley, they traded away mainly because they got Michael Brockers, in my opinion. But I guess, they got Derek Wolfe, so it still made sense. And what's weird, though, is that they traded him to a division rival. That's pretty rare that they would trade him, so they traded him to the Steelers. Seth Roberts is a slot receiver, and it was okay to let them go. Carolina is stacking up on receivers. Josh Bynes, to me, came in off the streets last season. Played really well for the Ravens, but obviously that's a bigger contract, not that much though. They could have maybe tried to re-sign him, in my opinion, but not the end of the world. I am disappointed that they did not go after Patrick Onwuasor. I am so sorry if I said that name wrong. I think they call him just the Dinosaur. So Patrick Dinosaur, they, in my opinion, should have tried to re-sign. I don't know the contract details, but unless it's really expensive, to me they should have tried to bring him back. And then these two have not signed with another team, but I'm counting them as losses because they specifically cut them. Obviously, you see some players come back after cut, but I'm counting the cuts for each team as losses. So that's Tony Jefferson, who's a starting safety, but they have some other depth at safety. And then James Hurst is a offensive lineman. So looking at the re-signs, I counted the franchise tag for Matt Judon as a re-sign. I definitely think it's a good move. They did the right thing by tagging him. I heard they're looking to trade him. So that's a great situation. You tag him, so you have him under contract, but you can get rid of him and get that money back. And it's just a nice way to secure the player that you might get some value out of. Jimmy Smith, I nearly gave this one an A. It's a little bit more. If it would have been $3 million or less, I would have given it an A. But $3.5 million for Jimmy Smith is still really good. But I also gave it a B because I thought he was maybe going to be a top 2 corner, but I totally forgot they have both Marlon Humphrey and Marcus Peters, as well as, you have Anthony Averett, who's developing as well. But I still really like that re-signing for them. Then Anthony Levine can play a little bit safety and linebacker. I like their safety depth already. So in that perspective, I don't think he'll play much safety, but they have a big weakness at middle linebacker now, so might as well bring someone in there. Chris Moore, also I wanted to give a higher grade, but he's a 4th or 5th receiver, and he's getting 1.67. Looking at other players on the market too, I think he could have gotten less. So they could have brought in other guys for less than that who I think are better than Chris Moore, but nice to keep a decent player around that they like. And Jihad Ward is just a defensive lineman. Literally, he's just an average defensive lineman. So a little pricey for an average defensive lineman, but bringing in depth is not a terrible thing. So I give it a C, which is right around average. Looking at their guys who are still available, you have Brandon Carr, who they did decline the option for. So it's not certain whether he'd even go after re-signing with them. But to me, it's a maybe. They could look to bring him back for cheaper. Pernell McPhee, although I believe he was hurt for a lot of last season, to me they should bring him back as they need some depth on the not only opposite Matt Judon, but if they trade away Matt Judon, they need somebody to sort of bring back a little bit. Domata Peko is the same thing. He could be involved if they sign him back as a D-tackle, but it's not the end of the world if they let him walk. Okay, you let go of Bryden Trawick. You know, you don't need any more safety help. They have so much depth there. Parker Ehinger is an offensive lineman, so that could be a possible bring back. Hieronymus Grisou is purely a center, and they have both Skura and Bozeman can play a little center. So to me, they don't need to bring Grisou back. And Fish Smithson is another one he's a safety. They have so much depth at safety, they don't need to bring him back, so let him walk. And so looking at their top 3 needs, it's clear here. To me, these are their top 3 needs. So we're going to go over each of them. Middle linebacker, they let Patrick Dinosaur go. They've let a lot of middle linebackers go. And looking at who's available, you got Alec Ogletree, Mark Barron, Jake Ryan, Wesley Woodyard, or Darren Lee. I think any of them you could get a fit with. I mean, Mark Barron is similar style to Anthony Levine to me, obviously former safety. But they could go after any of those guys. Looking at guard, this one's maybe not as big of a need, but I think they could use another guard. Like, they'll be fine with what they have, but to me, they could use one of these 3 guys, which would be Ronald Leary, Josh Klein, or Mikey Upati. And one of their biggest needs as well is outside linebacker, not only maybe to replace Matt Judon, but then if they do keep him, to go opposite of Matt Judon. So we could see a Terrell Suggs reunion. It's a possibility. Clay Matthews is obviously edge rusher. Marcus Golden, Kareem Martin, and Brooks Reed would be a guy that I could see Baltimore signing. Aaron Lynch is out there. He's a decent pass rusher, but I think he had some character issues, and it seems the Ravens don't really like character issue guys, in my opinion. So I don't think they'd necessarily go after him, but that's a name out there. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. This one's a bit shorter because, you know, they only added 2.5 players. You know, they added their 2, and then Michael Brockers, they signed him to a 1-week contract. So not many players to add, but to me, they did fine with what they had here. I like what they did, bringing in 2 star players. They didn't let go of too much. They let go of players that they brought in positions of, except for the middle linebacker situation. To me, you could have brought back Bynes or Patrick Dinosaur. It's a really good offseason for them. So we'll see what they do in the draft, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye. Dinosaur.